Hello, Algebra. Today we are going to be working on 8.3 and 8.4, solve by perfect squares and solving quadratics by completing the square. All right, so to solve by perfect square, you can use that. It's a nice, easy way if there is no middle term. There's going to be a point where you can still use the quadratic formula. But if it's nice and easy like this, we can easily solve. So if I want to find x, I will just get x by itself by adding 225 to both sides. That cancels out. Now I'm left with x squared that's equal to 225. If we remember when we dealt with perfect squares, you want to make sure that this is positive because only then can you take the square root. You can only take the square root of a positive number right now. So x is going to be equal to plus or minus the square root of 225, which happens to be 15. Now that plus in the middle is just going to tell us that it's equal to positive 15, and x is also equal to negative 15. That's that plus or the minus. It tells me there are two solutions to this on a graph, two solutions for x. Now you might say, well, how did I get that plus or minus? Because 15 squared is going to give me 225. But negative 15 squared is also going to equal 225. So we see that both options will work. This is called the primary root, but this is also a root as well. So two answers. You won't necessarily see it like that. You might, but remember that the plus or minus is a solution, or you can see it split where it's the positive 15 and the negative 15. Let's look at number 2. In order to get x by itself, we're going to do what we would usually do. I minus 24 on both sides. So that negative 3x squared is equal to negative 24. But then to get the x squared by itself, I would divide both sides by negative 3. It's almost like I'm solving an equation. So that x squared is equal to positive 8. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the square root because the opposite of a number squared is the square root. So we have x is equal to plus or minus the square root of 8. Now the square root of 8 can be simplified. If you recall way back when, if we had the square root of 8, we can make it into two factors. So it would be the factors of 8, which is 4 times 2. That means the square root of 8 can be broken into the square root of 4 times the square root of 2. We're looking for the perfect square, and the perfect square is 4. So we have 2 square root of 2. That means the 8 can be simplified into 2 square root of 2. My exact answer is x is equal to plus or minus 2 square root of 2. And that means your x is equal to 2 square root of 2. And your x is equal to negative 2 square root of 2. Those are all viable answers. So you could see it like that, or you could see it like that. Go ahead and pause and try number 3 on your own. Right now that you have paused, you want to get x squared by itself. So you would divide both sides by 7. So that x squared is equal to 16. And then you would take the square root, and the x is equal to, please remember this sign, positive or negative square root of 16, which is 4. That means that's an answer. You could see it like that with the symbol. But remember, that's two solutions. Two solutions. Because x could be equal to positive 4, and that means x is also equal to negative 4. Both of them are viable solutions. And you could see it either way. All right, so let's come on down. That is 8.3, solving by perfect squares. We usually put it together with completing the square. Now, completing the square tends to be a little bit more challenging. All right, the first part is let's complete it. If you have a quadratic trinomial that is a perfect square, there is a relationship between the b and the c. So let's look at, let's recall. If you have a quadratic trinomial and you want to check if it's a perfect square, you check the last term, which in this case is a perfect square. 9 is 3 and 3. And the x can be split into x and x. And the middle term you would check by making it 2 times 3 times x. You get the x from here, your 3 from here. So it should be 2 times all of those. So when you check it, 2 times 3 is 6, and we have 6x. We see that the middle term is true. If it is true, this is a perfect square trinomial, and I was able to do x plus 3 squared. We are now going backwards from that concept to say that if you know the middle term, you could just divide by 2. So c is equal to the middle term, b, divided by 2 squared. That's how we get that formula right here. So now, if I'm going to go ahead and find the c, then my middle term is b. So c is equal to 10 divided by 2, and that's going to be squared. So the c term is equal to 5 squared, which means my c term is equal to 25. So to complete the square, I know that c would be 25. Now let's go ahead and find the b term. Now that we know how we would get the c term, or you know what, let's do another c term. In order to get the c term is equal to the middle term, which is negative 9 divided by 2 squared. Just like we had the square root of the 9 and multiplied it by 2, we're going the opposite way, divide by 2, and whatever we get, we square it and we get 9. So negative 9 divided by 2 is going to give us a decimal. That's okay. That's negative 4.5. And then I need to square negative 4.5. So negative 4.5 times negative 4.5 is going to give me positive 20.25. That means to complete the square, this would be 20.25. If we're looking for b, we're going to do what we did before, where we split that middle term. What would make this a perfect square? So this is 6 and this is 6. It's a positive and a positive 6. So then the middle term, again, is just going to be 2 times x times 6, which gives me 12x. That means this middle missing term is 12. Go ahead and try 4 and 5. You're going to find the missing piece, whether it might be the b term or the c term. Pause and try. All right, so finding the b term, welcome back. You should have 81 can be split into 9 and 9. 81 is a perfect square. It's 9 times 9. And for x, it's x and x. So then the middle term should be 2 times x times 9. That's what makes it a perfect square. That means the middle term is 18x. And then to find the c term, it is the middle term divided by 2 squared. And we're still going with the a, b, c. And so my c term is equal to -4 squared, which means my c term is equal to +16. All right, hope we're feeling all right. We are now going to move into the concept of solving quadratics by completing the square. So we've already learned how to solve quadratics by graphing. We look at the graph. We have learned to solve it by factoring. We factor, set it equal to 0. Now we're going to solve by completing the square. Completing the square, I think, is one of the most challenging ways to solve, but it is okay. There's a lot of steps, and we're going to just go one step at a time. So if they only want you to solve at any point, we're going to learn the quadratic formula. You want to use that because it's easier. But for solving the square, we're going to first write the equation to look like ax squared plus bx equals c. That means if it's not like this, we're going to have to move the c over to the right. We want to make sure that your a term is 1. If your a term is not 1, we're going to have to divide to make it 1. Then we're going to find c by using the formula. C equals, c equals b divided by 2 squared. This will complete the square. Then we want to add c to both sides. We want to factor the trinomial and then take the square on both sides and then write and solve both equations. So let's look at number 1. Step 1. Does this look like ax squared plus bx equals c? No, it is still in the original standard form. So if I'm going to solve by completing the square, I'm going to have to move the 15 on both sides first. So I add 15 on both sides. When I add 15 on both sides, I get x squared is equal to, oh, not equal to, I'm sorry. X squared plus 14x is equal to 15. So now it looks like ax squared plus bx equals c. I am then going to check, is my a term 1? Yes, I'm good to go. So now I'm going to complete the square. I need to find c. C is equal to b divided by 2 squared. So that means c is equal to 14 divided by 2 squared. My c term is going to be equal to 49. I'm going to take this 49 and drop it into the equation. And so when I drop it into the equation to make it balanced, I am going to have to do it on the left side. So I'm adding 49 here. But remember, to keep any equation balanced, you must do it to both sides. So now I'm going to add 49 to the right side as well. Whatever I do to the left, I must do to the right to make it balanced. Like here, I add 15, I add 15. So if I take this 49 and plop it into the equation, I have to do it on the right side as well. So now I can actually factor this. I know it's a perfect square. 7 and 7 gave me 49. X gave me x squared, and that's positive. So these are both positive 7s. So I now know that this is x plus 7 squared if I factored. And then 15 plus 49 is going to give me 64. Now this looks like what we did in the very beginning. I want to solve for x, and it's the whole x plus 7 squared. So to get x by itself, I'm going to take the square root on both sides. That leaves me with x plus 7, and it's equal to the positive and the negative plus or minus the square root of 64, which is 8. Then I still need to get x by itself, so I'm going to minus 7 on both sides, but that needs to go in the front. So we have x is equal to negative 7 plus or minus the square root of 8. Oh, sorry. Plus or minus 8, because the square root of 64 is 8. So then now I am going to go ahead and solve. X is equal to negative 7 plus 8, and x is equal to negative 7 minus 8. So x is equal to 1, and x is equal to negative 7 minus 8, which is negative 15. That tells me again there are two solutions, two options to this quadratic. Let's look at number 2. Step 1. I can tell, 1, it's a quadratic, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. But in this case, the 3 is already to the side, which is how I need it. Ax squared plus bx equals c if I'm going to do complete in the square. So I'm good. But I should note that the beginning of this is a 2. My leading coefficient is not 1. I need to make sure it's 1 if I am going to complete the square. So then I need to divide both sides by 2 first. 2 divided by 2 is 1, so we have x squared plus 5 divided by 2, which is 2.5x, and it's equal to 3 divided by 2, which is 1.5. Miss Reed, there's a lot of decimals. That's okay. Now that we have that, we're going to go ahead and complete the square. That means my c is going to be equal to b over 2 squared. That's what I need to complete this. So c is equal to 2.5 divided by 2 squared. C is equal to 1.5625. And again, hopefully you have your calculator and you're working it out. Now that I know C, I'm going to take the C and add it in. So x squared plus 2.5x plus 1.5625 is equal to 1.5 plus 1.565. And remember this C that you got, that's the C that we're putting in. That is the C. Why is the highlighter doing that? I'm sorry. Okay, that is the C that you're putting in on both sides. So now that you have the C on both sides, you're going to go ahead and let's factor this perfect square trinomial. So x squared is x and x. To get here, we have, let's see, what is that? The square root of that is 1.25 and 1.25, because 1.25 times 1.25 is 1.5625. So it's what times what will give me that. So now I am going to write this. We have x plus 1.25 squared. That's what's going to equal 1.5 plus 1.5625, which is 3.0625. Now I have x plus this squared is equal to that. I'm going to go ahead and find the square root because I'm solving for x. So x plus 1.25 is equal to the plus or minus, positive or negative, square root of 3.0625, which is 1.75. So now to get x all by itself, x is equal to, oh, sorry, I need to minus 1.25 on both sides. So that my x is equal to, let me come down somewhere, negative 1.25 plus or minus 1.75. And then that is going to give us two answers, because remember what it means. This means x is equal to negative 1.25 plus 1.75, and x is also equal to negative 1.25 minus 1.75. Now I'm going to put this in the calculator. I'm almost there. X is equal to negative 1.25 plus 1.75, which is 0.5. And x is equal to negative 1.25 minus 1.75. My x is equal to negative 3. Yay, we made it. Final answer, final answer, final answer, final answer. Now I want you to go ahead and try number 3 and number 4. Pause. I know it's going to take a while. Pause and try 3 and number 4. All right, now that you are back, for number 3, you would have minus 5 on both sides. And then you would have found your C. C is equal to B over 2 squared. C is equal to 16. You add that to both sides. And then you find the perfect square, which is negative 4, because of that negative 8. And then we have that's equal to 21. We take the square root. So B minus 4 is equal to plus or minus the square root of 21. And then you add 4 to both sides. B is equal to 4 plus or minus the square root of 21. If they want an exact answer, this is it, because the square root of 21 can't be simplified anymore. But if they want a decimal, then you actually find the square root of 21, which is 4.58, and B is equal to 4 plus 4.58, which is 8.58. And then B is equal to 4 minus 4.58, which is negative 0.5. Lastly, for number 4, the A term is a 2 So you need to divide by 2 to ensure that your a term is 1. We only complete the square when the a term is 1. So then we go ahead and minus 8 from both sides, find the c, etc., etc. And your final answer for number 4, your x is equal to 50 or your x is equal to negative 56. Final answer. All right, tomorrow, I will see you tomorrow. Remember to bring your notes, your paper, your pencil, and a calculator.